if the stars are just giant glowing light bulbs?
You're
And we
8
could
years
switch
old.
them off
You're
and
wearing
on?
something nobody else would
I
wear,
need a
talking
giant
about
ladder
something nobody
first.
else cares
I'll build
about,
it out of
and you
moon
don't check
beams.
if anyone's watching, because it hasn't occurred to you yet that you should. Now, think about the last time you felt that free. Can't remember. That's not because you changed. That's because somewhere between then and now, someone taught you that being different was something to fix. This video is about undoing that. Have you ever looked around at everyone else and quietly wondered, why am I not like them? Maybe you don't talk as much as other people. Maybe you replay a 5-second conversation for 3 hours afterward. Maybe you need more time alone than anyone else seems to. Maybe you just feel like you never quite fit, and you can't explain why. And eventually, you land on a question that quietly rewrites how you see your whole life. What's wrong with me? But here's the question nobody asks back. What if nothing is? What if the real problem isn't that you're different? What if it's that you learned different meant unacceptable? Because once that belief sets in, everything changes shape. Every social interaction becomes a test. Every awkward moment becomes evidence. Every rejection becomes a verdict. And once you believe that, you don't just get uncomfortable being different, you get uncomfortable being you. Left unchecked, that discomfort doesn't stay quiet. It's how people end up isolating themselves, shrinking their own lives, or burying who they actually are just to feel safe. That's the danger, not the difference itself, but what you do to yourself trying to hide it. Go back to that 8-year-old for a second. Kids are strange by default, obsessed with random things, building entire worlds in their head, wearing the ridiculous outfit without a second thought. They don't ask, do I look normal? Because normal isn't a category they've learned yet. Then school happens. You start comparing. You notice who's popular, who's funny, who's confident, who gets left out. Nobody sits you down and teaches you the rules. You just absorb them. What to wear, how to talk, what to like, what to feel, and when to hide it. And somewhere in there, one question quietly replaces another. You stop asking, what do I like? You start asking, what will make them like me? Same brain, completely different life. Here's the part that traps people for years. Once you believe something about yourself, your brain starts hunting for proof. Say some part of you believes, I'm awkward. You have one clumsy conversation, and you replay it on a loop. You do not replay the 12 completely normal conversations you had that same day. Your brain doesn't file those as evidence. Only the awkward one counts. See, I knew it. I'm awkward. Notice what your brain just did. It didn't investigate, it confirmed. That's why someone who secretly believes they're unlikable doesn't need 10 people to reject them. One rejection can be enough. Because the rejection isn't creating the belief, it's feeding it. Someone doesn't invite you. They don't want me there. Someone doesn't text back. They're ignoring me. Someone laughs mid-conversation. They're laughing at me. Ordinary life starts feeling like a court case building against you. And here's the brutal part. You don't need anyone to insult you. Your own mind will happily do it for free. Picture two people, same personality, same weird interests. Let's say both are obsessed with something niche nobody around them cares about. Both spend Friday nights alone by choice. Both have a strange sense of humor. One of them is comfortable in her skin. To her, none of that is a problem. It's just Tuesday. The other believes, somewhere underneath, people like me aren't supposed to be this way. Same traits. Two completely different lives. For him, the interest becomes something to hide. The quiet becomes a flaw. The sensitivity becomes weakness. He starts editing himself in real time. Not because he wants to, but because he's scared. Scared of the laugh. Scared of the judgment. Scared that if people saw the real one, they wouldn't stay. The difference between those two people was never the trait. It was the belief sitting underneath it. Here's a trap almost everyone falls into. We take things personally that were never personal. Someone's quiet. What did I do? Someone's distant. Are they mad at me? Someone picked someone else. Why wasn't I enough? Uncomfortable truth. People are busy, tired, insecure, distracted, and dealing with things that have nothing to do with you. Most of the time, you're not the main character of their bad mood. But, and this matters, sometimes it is about you. Sometimes something someone says hits you hard, specifically because it touches something you were already insecure about. That's not a reason to spiral. That's information. Try this test. Someone tells you, honestly, I don't think people really get you. If you already believe that being misunderstood means being unlovable, that sentence wrecks you for the rest of the day. If you're at peace with yourself, you just think, yeah, maybe, their loss. Same sentence. Two completely different outcomes. The pain was never really about what they said. It was about what it confirmed inside you. So next time something stings, don't just ask, why would they say that? Ask, why did that land so hard on me? That question tells you more about yourself than a decade of overthinking ever will. And here's the part worth sitting with. The goal isn't to convince yourself that nothing is your fault. The goal is to stop making everything your fault. There's a huge difference between responsibility and self-blame. Responsibility says, I did something wrong, I can learn from it. Self-blame says, I did something wrong, therefore something is wrong with me. One helps you grow, the other teaches you to hate yourself. Here's the biggest mistake almost everyone makes without noticing. We turn experiences into identities. We make one mistake and say, I'm a failure. We get rejected once and say, I'm undesirable. We have one awkward exchange and say, I'm a socially awkward person. Look closely at what just happened. An event occurred. And instead of describing the event, we used it to describe ourselves. I failed is a sentence about something that happened. I am a failure is a sentence about who you are. Those are not the same sentence. One you can walk away from. The other you start living inside. This is how being odd becomes painful. You don't simply think, I am different. You start thinking, because I am different, something must be wrong with me. And then the world becomes a mirror. Every awkward interaction reflects it. Every rejection reflects it. Every time someone doesn't understand you, your brain whispers, see, there's proof. But there isn't. There's only a person trying to make sense of their experiences. Here's the actual tool, simple enough to use today. Separate what happened from what you decided it means. Someone didn't invite you. That's what happened. I don't matter. That's the story you told yourself about it. Someone criticized your work. That's what happened. I'm not good enough. That's the interpretation. The first part is reality. The second part is a guess dressed up as fact. And your guess is not automatically the truth. Now, don't take this too far. Some people hear, don't care what people think, and twist it into, I don't care about anyone. That's not maturity. That's often just armor with a better name. Real confidence isn't, nobody's opinion matters. Real confidence is, other people's opinions matter, they just don't set my worth. You can still take feedback, apologize when you're wrong, improve how you communicate, work on yourself, but there's a line most people never learn to see. Self-improvement says, I can get better. Self-rejection says, I have to become someone else before I'm allowed to be worthy. One comes from respect, the other comes from shame, and it will quietly run your entire life if you let it. If your worth depends on other people's reactions, there is never enough. There will always be someone who doesn't get you, someone who prefers somebody else, someone who calls you strange. And if every one of those moments becomes proof that you're broken, you'll spend your whole life playing a game that was never winnable in the first place. Real self-acceptance isn't loud. It's not, this is who I am, deal with it. It's quieter than that. It sounds like, maybe I'm different, and I can still be okay. Maybe I'll be awkward sometimes, and I can still be okay. Maybe someone won't understand me, and I can still be okay. That's the whole shift, not becoming someone who's never rejected, becoming someone who doesn't join the rejection when it happens. Someone can misunderstand you. You don't have to misunderstand yourself. Someone can leave. You don't have to abandon yourself just because they did. Maybe the version of yourself you've been trying to kill isn't the version that needed fixing. Maybe it was the version that needed understanding. The quiet kid, the sensitive one, the person who never quite fit in, the person who thought too much, the person who cared too much. Maybe they weren't asking you to become someone else. Maybe they were just waiting for you to stop being ashamed of them. So no, being odd is not bad. Being quiet isn't a defect. Being sensitive isn't weakness. Thinking differently isn't something you owe anyone an apology for. Growing up was never about finally becoming normal. It's about realizing you never needed to be. Because being odd was never the problem. Believing you had to hate yourself for it. That was. If this hit something in you, you already know someone who needs to hear it too. Send it to them. And subscribe if you want more of this.